Skating is so cool. Ever since I was a kid, in every movie, in every show, and yes, even in video games, the coolest people were always the skaters. They were everything that you would want in a cool character. And you know, guys, I actually dabbled in a little skating myself back in the day, and look how cool I am. Skating games are so sick, but for some strange reason, especially in the modern era, I feel like they're the least talked about genre of games. And it's especially weird for me because one of the first games I ever played, like in my life, was Tony Hawk's American Wasteland. This was a game that fit every single image of a skater you had into one singular game. The game was pretty anti-establishment, creative, had an amazing music selection, fairly vulgar at times, but overall, it was a great game. I did a video on it years ago. Please don't watch it. It was ass, and it was in that state of my YouTube timeline where I didn't know how to make jokes, so I just cussed every 10 seconds. I sounded like Deborah Morgan from Dexter. It was really bad. Skating games were some of the earliest sports games that you could play, but to be honest, they never felt like sports games. Skating games felt like their own genre, and a big reason why they had such a unique identity to them was the music. Believe it or not, skating is a very musical activity. Speaking from experience and what I've been around, nobody skates in silence. And if you see someone skating in silence, steer clear, because that person is a serial killer. Music is a very big part of skating, to the point where a lot of your favorite rappers were also skaters in their youth. Tyler the Creator, Earl Sweatshirt, Joey Badass. Skating was for some reason a very integral part to the pipeline of becoming a musician. But why was that the case? What is this connection between music and skateboards, and how did it affect skating games like Tony Hawk's Underground and American Wasteland, or Skate 1 through 3, or even games like Bomber Cyberpunk, which aren't technically skateboard games, but they're definitely in the same sphere as the others I've mentioned. Skating has almost always been a very counterculture activity. A lot of the places where people like to skate, they were getting kicked out from by security or the cops or whatever. So this had almost an implicit effect on skating as an activity where skaters and skating became very anti-authority, because the authority were stifling their desire to be free spirits, have fun, or whatever. And this connects to music, because music, especially the genres of music that skaters would listen to, like punk rock and hip hop, were also very anti-authority. Now, I know a lot of people have trouble identifying these kinds of things in their media, and we're gonna talk about media literacy in a future video, but I do want to share a question with you. Do you think a bunch of people skating and getting harassed by authority figures while listening to Rage Against the Machine aren't eventually gonna be like, you know what? Maybe there's something to this. Anti-authoritarianism and skating are very intertwined, to the point where it's even baked into skating games. Now, it could be the cartoonish type like in Thaw, where authoritarianism just meant, hey, you can't drop a 5-ton T-Rex head on animal rights activists. Or it could be very overt actual authoritarianism, like in Bomb Rush, where the police literally launched Decepticons at you for doing some graffiti. Skating games have always been very particular about the kind of music that they use, because the music is a pillar of the culture that they're trying to emulate within the games. Like, it would be very weird if I was fighting cops in Bomb Rush and they had Kenny G playing. Other sports don't really have their own culture surrounding them the way that skating does. Where other sports games like FIFA or NBA 2K are really just simulators of sports, skating games have always tried to reflect the experience of being a skater. Doing a little light crime here and there, listening to good music, these are all things that are connected to skating culture. I talked at length about music and video games already, but I never focused specifically on skating games. The music in skating games does all the same things that music in video games should do. But the music in skating games also serves another purpose: to give the player the full experience of being a skater. I don't know if any of you know this, but skating hurts. Like a lot. I remember one time I was skating with my friends and I had my car keys in my pocket, and I took a tumble and it looked like I pissed blood afterward. So on top of the pain of that, I also lost my favorite pair of jeans. Why do people do this again? It isn't reasonable to tell every person interested in skating to go actually skate for a number of reasons. One, the financial barrier to entry to having a board fully set up, we're talking the deck, grip tape, trucks, and wheels, is gonna run you at bare minimum like $100. There's also the concern about setting aside time to learn, but really the main reason why it's not reasonable is this shit hurts. When you learn to skate, it is not a question of if you will fall or get injured, it is when. And for a lot of people, getting a serious injury means missing work, which means missing a paycheck, which very well could mean missing a rent payment, and now you're homeless because your stupid ass wanted to learn how to do a tray flip at 35. It's just not feasible for everyone interested to learn how to skateboard, which is where skating games comes in. Creating a skating game is more than just making a simulator where I can do whatever this is. It's about crafting an experience of what it means to be a skater, which means the bumps and bruises, the speed of bombing a hill, the flips and grinds, and yes, the sound of the music. It's about making something that so perfectly emulates the experience of being a skater that you go, you know what? Maybe I don't have to die hitting a manual. And the music is such an integral part of these games because while listening to these soundtracks, you really do fall into this trance of skating. Listening to that hip hop, punk rock, indie, jazz. Bro, I knew a guy who would only skate while listening to Chopin. Who the fuck are you, the Phantom Troupe? By these games putting such an emphasis on the music that they featured, they were able to do more than just make a game. They were able to perfectly encapsulate what it means to skate. Skating games are such an unbelievably underrated genre of games that I don't understand why they don't get more love. These games are responsible for a generation of people's music tastes, senses of humor, fashion choices. That last one might not be a great one, but I am very happy that they're still being made, and I hope that they will continue to be made, because if they stop being made, that means I have to go back to actually skating. And to be honest with you guys, I'm not too interested in CTE this early in my life. I'll leave that to the professionals. Like, comment, subscribe. We're on the grind right now, and it's gonna be really cool in a few years when you can claim you're an OG fan. I'll see you guys next week. Bye bye.
They saying I look like Riley, that mean Fox fat ass LaMilton. If I say somebody shot Raheem and I'm just dad, we the ones who killed them. I send a nigga hold back cripple. Nobody plays with us, it's simple. A couple of niggas got popped like soda, the rest of they ass got popped like pimples. I'm something strong like Hennessy, boy, you's a bitch, you a Shirley Temple. Why would I give you a blick that's like you taking a ball and you can't even dribble? I got hold 3 times my